Rita, you're up.
Now I can hear you. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I have unfinished business item A. This is ready and on moving to the agenda.
Thank you, Counselor. I have item 10. I'm calling that one ready. Counselor Bay.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items number 11 and 12. If there are no questions or concerns, I'll call both those items ready.
Thank you. Counselor Green.
Madam President, I have items 13 through 17. Item 13 will be held. Items 14 through 17 are ready. Unless there's any questions, I do intend to introduce all of them, including item 14, which is the tech argument.
Thank you. Counselor Paniagua, you're back.
I have item 18 and it is ready and moving into the agenda.
Thank you. Counselor Carney.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 19 through 28. All my items are ready unless there are any further questions on those. Okay, all my items are ready.
Thank you, sir. Counselor Majok. Joe.
Thank you, Madam President. I was trying to find the button here. All my items are ready, Madam President. As I said in our last Wednesday meeting, that item, the Skyline item, we will discuss it more on Wednesday in the committee meeting. But if anyone has a pressing question at the moment, let me know. Otherwise, all the items are ready.
Thank you, sir.
Councilor Major.
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, it's not a question to you, but maybe if in preparation for that meeting on Wednesday, if we could find out from the law department regarding the violations on the Skyline and also and just how they were adjudicated in court and what were the results of those cases.
Okay, I hope Kristen Smith is in, and Chief Cecil, I hope you heard that as well.
Council, I sent an email to Kristen regarding that, but I think that would be very helpful since it's been my experience that many times our codes people in the law department do a great job with those cases, but sometimes the results from those cases in housing court are, to say, has like an understatement, disappointing as far as how they met out the fines and things. So I'd love to see what happens.
Counselor, it's Joe Barry, First Assistant. I'll make sure to pass that along as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Barry.
Councilor Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, Councilor Joe. I just want to point out to the council, I sent out an email earlier this morning. The name of the company was changed from the National to Green Skyline LLC. So you got a new ordinance. So that's the only change that's occurred since last Wednesday was the name of the company. Just want to make you aware of it, and you do have it in your email this morning.
Yes. Thank you so much, John.
And just to clarify, is number 30 being held pending the discussion on Wednesday?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
No, we're not holding it.
Then I don't understand the meeting after the fact.
Well, because of the pressing matter of the situation, pro tem, we are moving it. Unless if all the council want to hold it.
Yeah, we need to hold that. I don't understand the logic of discussing the cost for a contract after it's already passed.
Well, the reason I want to move it, pro tem, all the preliminary details are in our hands. That's why I've been asking, do anyone have any question that they want to ask? You know, and I just didn't want to put any more details here in this forum. But if we feel like we don't have sufficient information to vote, I can hold it. But I was okay with it.
Look, as a district counselor, I would ask that we move it. I can appreciate Councilor Bay, the concern for why would we look at it after the fact, but from looking at it before reading it. I mean, I'm content with it, and it's something that I think needs to happen. But again, that's just my opinion. It is my district, and I think it's crucial. I mean, they're going to reimburse us for the fringe time. It's necessary in that building right now.
And that's the thing. I wasn't clear that I knew that they were going to reimburse us for overtime.
Yes, and then and the
But-
overtime,
but
and then
the
there's
question-
25%. I'm sorry, Portem. Go ahead. Sorry.
But the question of pension costs came up as well.
Yes, and the pension cost is 25%. They are going to pay 25% for pension costs, which is an average that the city usually charge, and they agree to that.
To Councilor Bay and Councilor Carney's point, maybe this is direct to the administration. Are the police already in the building, covering that building?
Yes, we are already in there.
So you're already in there, and maybe Councilor Bay's forbearance, if they're already in there, and Councilor Carney's forbearance, maybe we should probably hold this until we get all our questions answered. As long as I think we're all in agreement that we need police protection there, and it will continue. But I think we should discuss exactly what we're charging them. So I would sort of agree with Councilor Bay and like holding this as long as that building is being covered right now.
And
I'm
if-
sorry,
if
I had a
could ask-
phone call come through right when the questions started, so I don't know if I missed something, but what was the initial question about the payment?
Question I'm trying to clarify, maybe you, Director Rudd, or the Deputy Chief can clarify. I was under the impression, and if I'm getting it wrong, then I apologize, but I was under the impression that we were reimbursed for overtime, but would not be reimbursed for pension costs.
Okay, yeah, Councilor, I can answer that. So when we put this detail together, it had to be put together very swiftly. We had a verbal commitment from the owner to pay us strictly overtime, no fringes. And since that time, after 3 or 4 days there, maybe just a couple of days there, we decided to put this MOU together, get it approved by the council, to charge them not only the overtime, but the full fringe that goes into this detail. So right now, it's a verbal to pay us just strictly overtime. We're trying to get this thing signed so that the property owner pays us not only overtime, but all the fringe.
What did the city clerk send us just before this meeting? Wasn't that an amended part of this item 30, John?
All it was the changing of the name from the national company to pay us, or the agreements with, to the local LLC. There's two different corporations, so it was changing it from the national to the local to make payment. Everything else stayed the same.
Without fringe then?
It's my understanding in the.
It's with fringe.
they have
It's
a
included in the
agreement-
legislation. If you read it, it is with fringe. All costs, including fringe, are being fully reimbursed by Green National. It's important that we do this. We need that strong presence in there. And I would like that property owner to not just pay the overtime, but also the fringe benefits. I'm having a hard time with this because this is really something that's been a frustration for me my entire time on the council with this property. And we finally have the company willing to go pay these costs. It's very difficult for me to sit here and say that we're not going to accept this legislation as it is now. I've read it. It's my district. I think it's crucial.
Let's be clear, Councilor Carney. Nobody's calling into question whether the people need security in the building or not. But what the chief just mentioned was an MOU.
Well,
See, we needed clarity on that. One person is saying fringe is included. He initially said that it wasn't, but in an MOU it was included. Now I don't understand an MOU to be a contract nor law, but we just need confirmation that that is in fact the case. Nobody's questioning whether they need security. It goes without saying that they need the support there.
Joe Barry, are you on this call? I'm sorry. Counselor.
Yes, no, this is Joe Barry. I mean, I can clarify several points. It is a binding agreement. We're using the term MOU kind of loosely, but it's really an agreement. And the key is to get the property owner to sign. So this authorization would allow us to present it to him. As far as further discussions, I think they still would be warranted because this is a 6-month agreement subject to renewal. So there's an ongoing role for the council to monitor the agreement and decide if it should continue in 6 months.
And also, counselors, if you look at exhibit A laid that out. You know, it's all there. And as I said, the urgency of the matter warrant that we move it along. And as Joe Barry just said, we can make modification later if we desire, right?
Yes, we would. 6 months from now will be up for renewal.
Okay.
But isn't it also the case that the agreement could be backdated? Because my understanding is that if the officers are already there, then we're already going to have to reimburse them from time that's already passed. So
I sent it to Khalid, but either one of them should raise it.
We've done retroactive agreements in the past, so as long as the other party's agreeable.
So I'm still unless if more councilors feel like we should hold it, I'm still insisting that we move it along.
Councilor Joe, what it is a matter of one message, not multiple messages, not skewed messages, and that message is that on other matters came across different. MOU is binding. In a previous discussion in previous years, it wasn't binding. But we want the security there without a doubt. But we have to be clear about if the reimbursement is in fact going to happen. We have to be clear about the fact they can't change or backpedal after the fact. Now, if our law department is saying without a doubt that they can't backpedal after we vote for this, then so be it. Let's vote. But if there is in fact a loophole, well, that anybody can sue, Mr. Berry. We know that. But it's different when you got to go back to court and sue, as opposed to just back out of what is essentially just a gentleman's agreement or a verbal agreement. So we need to be clear on what it is in fact.
Yes, we've drafted a binding written contract for them to sign. I have not personally been in touch with their counsel, so I'm not sure of the status of that. But
so that's the point I'm talking about, because they haven't signed it yet, correct?
Correct.
Come on, man.
They have not signed it. We have presented it to them.
All right, so this is what I mean by one message. Let's not try to sell it as if the deal is done. They didn't sign anything, but we're supposed to agree beforehand. Come on. We vote to support agreements, right? So if we know that they can do it, Joe, this, and Councilor Carney, your point is valid. It's been valid to many of us who've known about Skyline for years, right? We definitely need it done, but let's make sure that we're in fact binding. Mr. Berry, if you say it's binding, and so be it. Councilor Majoke, I'm fine with it.
And Counselor, this
it will be
agreement,
binding
like
upon signature.
Yeah, and this agreement, like any other agreement, cannot be modified after you vote for it unless we come back.
Understood.
So I guess the question become, and that start with me. The question become: Are we okay with the current language, considering after when they sign it?
Based on how Mr. Berry explained it, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Madam President, that item is ready. Those will be all my items. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 32 through 47. Item 33, we're going to hold. This is for a public hearing that will be held on April 8th at 5:30. And all the other items passed committee and discussion, so the rest of the items will be ready.
Thank you. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Madam President,
Second.
I have a waiver item.
Oh,
Madam President,
where did, okay, go ahead.
waiver item number 48.
Okay.
Mr. Kaliba, can you walk us through this one?
Certainly. Thank you, Councilor, and thank you for considering it as a waiver item. We were asked by the state to participate in the New York Forward program, which will move the help support the Excelsior Pass. So then this involves the state vetting and contracting with a number of COVID-19 testing providers. Once they're vetted and part of the New York Forward program, they can negotiate for space. to set up a number of testing sites throughout metropolitan areas. Downtown Syracuse has been targeted to set up a number of these sites. I think you may have seen in the newspaper a couple weeks ago that a number of commercial real estate property managers are participating and providing space free of charge. The idea being that the more space or the more testing that is available, the more of the Excelsior passes will be available and promulgated. The whole idea being to increase economic activity, particularly in downtown areas. So the pass would allow for folks to dine out, to attend events, for venues to open faster, and for patrons to have proof of a negative test. So the one of the participants in the New York Forward program, BioReference Laboratories, which is a subsidiary of a fairly large international pharmaceutical company, approached us about setting up a site in the atrium. So it's a 6-month lease with no rent consideration, which gave us some pause. But at the same time, we realized that we needed to shut down the DPW testing that we've been doing for employees. DPW needed their wash bay back. The fire department needed their paramedics back, and it was paying the paramedics overtime was getting to be a considerable expense. And the number of employees needing testing has significantly been reduced because the vaccine has been available to most city employees at this point. So it seemed like an opportune moment for us to switch over, let the private company take over the atrium for 6 months to provide this testing. And we'd be able to use it as our employee testing site. The reason for the quick turnaround, and I apologize for that, is that we discovered the DPW needed the wash bay back about 10 days earlier than we actually anticipated. So we needed to get this lease in place as quickly as possible.
Is this for employees and general public? Is it for everyone?
Yes, general public, it'll be available. It's an open testing site.
Mm-hmm.
Requires online registration prior, but it's high volume, quick tests.
Any other questions on this item?
How long will it be, Frank? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam President.
The lease the agreement will be for 6 months, as long as the demand is there during the course of that 6 months, Councilor.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, see you at 1.